Who are the most unlikely criminals? Let's find out. Starting with number 6. Don't go faking waterfalls. Tourists flock to Yuntai Mountain Waterfall, China's tallest uninterrupted waterfall, until a viral video revealed that it was fake. A hiker posted a video showing that the 1,000-foot tall waterfall gets its water from a pipe built into the rock face. A user going by Fairsvav posted the video on Douyin, a Chinese version of the popular short video platform TikTok, said in the video that he went through a good amount of trouble to see the source of the waterfall, only to find a pipe. Since its posting, the clip received 14 million views on Weibo, the Chinese version of Facebook, and almost 10 million on Douyin. The clip generated so much uproar that local government officials went to the park to investigate the matter. Yuntai Falls is located in Yuntai Mountain Geopark, a UNESCO global geopark, which is kind of like a national park but overseen by the UN. Millions of visitors head there every year to marvel at the geological formations that date back over 1 billion years. The park made a post on the waterfall's behalf to say it didn't expect to meet everyone this way, especially with its pipe exposed. The park explained that as a seasonal scenery, the park officials couldn't guarantee that it would be as beautiful as it could be when people came to see it, and that it needed a small enhancement during the dry season. Park officials also explained that the water from the pipe was spring water and wasn't damaging the natural landscape. Some people were outraged about the situation, accusing the park of not following the natural order of nature or respecting the tourists. They also accused the park of lying to tourists by calling Yuntai the #1 waterfall. However, many social media users were on the park side, saying it was a good way to guarantee that people would see the waterfall in its glory. While people argued about the situation on the internet, apparently that happens a lot, the local government demanded that the park management be a bit more transparent about these enhancements in the future and warn visitors so they don't feel deceived. How do you feel about a waterfall being artificially propped up? Is this sort of like makeup except for a waterfall? Let us know in the comments section. Number 5. Weekend hobby. Ivy Marie Weiss, a Wells Fargo district manager, went to multiple Targets to steal hundreds of dollars worth of stuff you'd buy at Target. Well, she must not be enjoying the deep discounts available on the Target app. Weiss stole a bunch of stuff from a Target in Gainesville, Florida. She loaded her shopping cart with about $170 worth of merch, and when it came time to pay, just headed to a self-checkout register. She scanned a couple of items for about $5 and paid for them with a gift card. Apparently, she thought she could just show the receipt if she were stopped, and that it would fool everyone. But as Weiss left the store with the majority of the items in her cart unpaid for, she was completely unaware that staff were monitoring her on surveillance the entire time. So as she was walking out, a loss prevention officer and a cop detained her. Apparently, it wasn't the first time Weiss was caught shoplifting. Loss prevention officers at multiple Target stores recognized her as a traveling scammer and thief. Weiss was quickly recognized because she had already accumulated 9 previous theft cases at other Target locations in the area, so she was earning a bit of a name for herself. Weiss would typically follow the same pattern. She'd fill her cart with expensive stuff, then scan and pay for a few cheap things to generate a receipt, then she'd leave the store without paying for the rest. Some of the items she stole the most included bedding items and Legos. And those of you who have kids know, we get why she'd steal Legos since they can be expensive. And you might think that Weiss was stealing out of necessity or something since she did it so much. But she actually had a pretty good job as a district senior manager for Wells Fargo. When she was questioned about why she repeatedly shoplifted, Weiss couldn't really give a clear answer. Weiss was released on her own recognizance as she had no prior criminal convictions. But at the time of this video, her case is ongoing. Normally, we'd say that you wouldn't expect a senior bank manager to be running around stealing things, but of course she worked for a bank that already has a pretty bad rep for being shady. Maybe when Wells Fargo finally stopped scamming people, Weiss just had that itch, you know? And that itch needed to be scratched at the home decor department at Target. Okay, this is just our crazy take. Number 4. Temple Diversion. Melanie Temple, who worked at Belmont Baptist Church in Calhoun, Georgia, abused her position to gain access to the church's credit cards, allegedly initiating a 3-year scheme alongside her husband, Chad Temple. The couple was accused of diverting funds intended for church use towards personal expenses, totaling over $200,000. The investigation, triggered by a forensic audit conducted by the church, uncovered a pattern of unauthorized transactions dating back to 2019. It all started with small, infrequent charges, as most of these crimes do, but when the pair realized they were getting away with it, they moved on to much bigger, more frequent purchases. Those charges added up, and between 2019 and 2022, the couple racked up a $212,000 tab. Among the things they bought were a bunch of dog and animal products. They were also dog breeders in their less criminal life, as well as personal stuff from Amazon and other retail stores. Belmont Baptist Church eventually grew suspicious, since their accounts just weren't adding up. So they had a forensic audit done, and when the audit revealed the actual amount of money missing, they called the Calhoun Police Department. Investigators traced the missing money to Melanie, who had also given Chad access to the credit cards as well. The theft shook the church community, who were completely shocked that the Temples, who seemed to be fairly well known, would target their donations. Calhoun police arrested the Temples and charged them for each credit card purchase they made, which ended up being around 300 charges in total. As of this video, the case is still ongoing. Number 3, broke school, rich principal. An elementary school principal and a school receptionist defrauded their school out of $630,000. Principal Michelle Hollingsworth siphoned cash from Annie Leonard Primary School in the UK. The receptionist, Deborah Jones, helped Hollingsworth access the funds, which they used to buy things such as a bunch of designer clothes and accessories. Jones also paid her husband's firm almost $100,000 for fake work at the school. While Hollingsworth helped herself to the school's cash, she told staff members they had to buy their own supplies and denied requests for raises. Hollingsworth also told the school staff that they had no money because they were shortchanged by the local authority. However, she then dropped $2,500 of the broke school's money on 2 oil paintings. When asked about the paintings, she said she bought them for the school. Apparently, she was just going to keep them at her house because elementary school kids aren't going to really appreciate them, right? She also made 180 visits to boutique stores to spend the school's money on luxury items, probably also for the school. The 2 women also plundered the school's money on kickback deals, where workers were either paid for overpriced work, made up work, or shared the profit with one or both women. Hollingsworth and Jones were arrested, as well as Hollingsworth's husband, Joseph. As a result of their theft, the school was in an even worse financial situation than before and was struggling to rebuild. Jones pleaded guilty to conspiring with Hollingsworth and was convicted of 2 other charges of conspiring to defraud with other workers. A jury ultimately found Hollingsworth guilty of conspiring to defraud and attempting to pervert the course of justice, and her husband was also found guilty. Hollingsworth ended up with 5.5 years in prison, and Jones got 4. Number 2, Senator Ethics. Minnesota State Senator Nicole Mitchell allegedly broke into her stepmother's home to retrieve her late father's ashes. We know what you're thinking. When senators make the news, it's usually something to do with bribery or insider trading, not burglaring their stepmother's house. Apparently, the former Air Force Reserve Lieutenant Colonel claimed she wanted some of her father's things, including his ashes, but her stepmother refused to even communicate with her. Senator Mitchell arrived at the property on April 22nd of 2024 and snuck into the home. Law enforcement received a report of suspicious activity at the residence and headed over to check it out. They found Mitchell in the basement wearing all black clothing and a black hat like a cartoon burglar, which had to be absolutely hilarious to see. She also had a flashlight that she covered with a black sock to control the amount of light it generated. So slick, right? During her arrest, Mitchell said that she only went to the house because her stepmother wouldn't talk to her and that she just wanted some of her dad's things. She admitted to the police that she headed to the property at 1 a.m. to sneak her father's belongings since her stepmother had cut off all communication with her. Officers discovered that Mitchell propped a basement window with a black backpack that contained her driver's license, Minnesota Senate ID card, 2 laptops, a cell phone, and some Tupperware containers. Tupperware in the backpack? Hey, you never know when a garden party might break out and some of that killer potato salad can be brought home. Senator Mitchell was prepared, but one of the laptops brought brought up her stepmother's name when it was turned on. In response, Mitchell claimed that her stepmother gave her the laptop a long time ago, so why wouldn't she be bringing it to the house when she was breaking in? Of course, the stepmom denied this. A judge released Mitchell after appearing in court under the condition that she make no contact with her stepmother. Then Mitchell took to Facebook to deny the burglary allegations, claiming the reason she was on the property was just to check on a family member. You know, hilariously dressed like your mom's version of a ninja costume. She commented about dealing with watching a loved one suffer from Alzheimer's and the paranoia that came along with it. The Minnesota senator explained that she received information that made her extremely concerned about her stepmother, so she went to check on her. Apparently, while she was inside the home, she startled the close relative and exasperated their paranoia, prompting them to think she was stealing. She ended the post by saying that her hope was to resolve the matter in private. Ha! We bet she wants this matter private. Despite her claims, Mitchell was arrested on a first-degree burglary charge, which carries up to a 20-year prison sentence. As of the release of this video, Mitchell is awaiting further investigation from a Capitol Ethics Committee. Do you believe her explanation? It's really hard to believe that a state senator would be breaking into someone's house, but it's also really hard to explain why she was dressed the way she was and what she had in her bag. You'd think for someone in her position, a position that carries some level of authority, that there'd be 100 other ways she could get in contact with her stepmother and retrieve whatever it was she wanted to retrieve. But tell us what you think in the comments below. And if you're enjoying this video, be sure to stay tuned right here to find out the ridiculous way these ladies smuggled out watches. Number 1. Real life Jackie Brown. Former beauty queen Glennis Zapata allegedly moved $310,000 from the U.S. to Mexico for a cartel. As a pageant winner, you'd think she'd have some other options here, right? Before her alleged cartel involvement, Zapata won Miss Indiana 2011. Following the win, she gave an interview to the Journal and Courier where she spoke about how she wanted to highlight the culture and values of her community. However, the beauty queen turned flight attendant apparently felt that her values and culture included being a mule because she allegedly moved nose beer profits from Chicago from 2019 to 2023. The cartel was run by Oswaldo Espinoza, one of the DEA's most wanted fugitives. The small-scale cartel was known as the Espinoza DTO and targeted regular people like Zapata to help move thousands of kilograms of spicy white and the profits made from it. Espinoza apparently used multiple methods to transport his goods, including semi-trailer trucks and private and commercial planes. He moved the stash and profits from properties in Chicago to southern states and Mexico. The cartel attempted to avoid suspicion by hiding the contraband inside legitimate packaged goods. Zapata was one of 18 suspects arrested in the operation. The DEA also arrested Espinoza, Zapata's bank teller's sister, Elenis Zapata, and another bank teller, Georgia Banuelos, who were being used to launder the money. The flight attendant allegedly abused her status as a known crew member to help the traffickers move the cash proceeds from the Midwest to southern states and eventually into Mexico. And things were looking good for the group until 2021, when federal officials seized a private charter plane at the Gary Chicago International Airport. Authorities arrested Zapata after she dropped her son off at school, and she was later released with her sister on a $20,000 bond. The cartel's indictment refers to 8 trafficking operations between 2021 and 2023 and 15 cash transports from 2019 to 2022. At the time of this video, the case is ongoing. It seems like it really wasn't a good idea for Zapata to say her hidden talent in the pageant was being good at smuggling, huh? You'd never expect that sort of thing to come back and bite you. What are some of the most daring robberies? Let's get right to it and start with number 5. Watch this! 2 Las Vegas women, Nikki Grandel and Stacy Johnson, targeted and robbed a man they met on the Caesars Palace casino floor. Grandel and Johnson were socializing with their victim when they convinced him to take them to his hotel room at Caesars Palace. But it wasn't long after they entered the room before he realized he was missing $6,500 and a Rolex watch. The man kept his valuable belongings in a small bag, and after discovering it was empty, he confronted the women. Grandel and Johnson did what anyone would do when wrongfully accused, fled the room and ran into the stairwell.
but the women couldn't move faster than the Las Vegas police. The victim immediately reported the theft, and officers tracked down Grandel and Johnson using the hotel's surveillance footage and the victim's description. Police arrested the pair moments later and charged them with grand larceny. Authorities had to conduct an extensive search to find the Rolex, resorting to an X-ray examination where they discovered Grandel had placed the luxury watch inside her body to conceal it. And by body, you probably know what we mean. The one only women have. Additionally, Johnson stuffed the cash inside her pants. Grandel and Johnson's actions might seem extreme, but they were far from the only people to conduct this type of criminal operation at a casino. Cassidy Rain Paris was at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood, Florida, when she approached a man at the casino's elevators. After telling the man he seemed tired and stressed, she offered to go up to his room to give him a massage. The man accepted the offer, and the pair went to his room. During the massage, Paris ordered him to remove his clothing and kissed him. She suddenly developed chest pain and excused herself to go to the bathroom. Within minutes, the victim heard his room door close and discovered his belongings were missing. Paris stole a Patek Philippe watch worth $50,000, $10,000 in cash, and $6,100 in poker chips. Paris's scheme was well thought out. After luring the man to his room, she used a diversionary tactic to distract him so she could rob him. Except she underestimated how easy it would be to track her down. Similarly to Grandel and Johnson, surveillance video captured Paris sprinting down the hall and driving away in a red car. Police located the GPS tracker on the red car she used to flee the scene. They apprehended Paris 4 miles east of the casino at a Days Inn motel and charged her with a second-degree felony for theft. So wait, we can't just trust any random women we meet named Nikki, Stacy, or Cassidy? Number 4. Gorley's 5. A gang of 5 robbers carried out a jewelry heist at Danielle Jewelers in Birmingham, England. The gang stole a highways maintenance truck and smashed it into the storefront, narrowly missing a staff member. 3 of the 4 robbers pulled a smash and grab. They barged into the store and smashed glass display cabinets with sledgehammers, then grabbed the jewelry and stuffed it into their sports bags. The 4th gang member stayed in one of the group's 3 vehicles, with the 5th kept the crowd at bay, waving an axe. The gang used a black Land Rover Discovery, a white Toyota Hilux, and a black Toyota Corolla for the raid. They parked the Land Rover and Toyota Corolla to block both sides of the ride of the jewelers and reversed the Hilux into the store. The 5 men fled the scene in the Land Rover and Hilux, abandoning the Corolla at the scene. Surveillance footage caught the group leaving the vehicles nearby and climbing into a stolen Audi TTS and a BMW 420. Despite spending weeks planning their operation, security cameras captured the entire robbery, and many concerned onlookers watched it occur. The ringleader, John Gorley, attempted to sell a stolen bangle for $1,850 at Birmingham's Jewelry Quarter 2 hours after the raid, 3 miles from the jewelry store. Unfortunately for him, surveillance footage captured the entire interaction. Detectives used surveillance footage from nearby businesses and a witness's cell phone footage. They linked Gorley to the robbery by his fingerprints on the store's sale sheet. Another member, Hassan Zulakar, bought tape and pads at a nearby auto parts store, which he used to put false number plates on their getaway cars. Authorities discovered he stole the Land Rover after they recovered backings to the pads that Zulakar left inside the vehicle, which were covered in his fingerprints. Additionally, they tied the rest of the group to the theft through fingerprints, clothing, and tags from the stolen jewelry they found in one of the members' homes. Officers arrested all 5 members of the group and charged them with conspiracy to rob and possess an offensive firearm. Birmingham Crown Court conducted a 4-week trial and found the group guilty. Their sentences ranged from 16 years to 12, reaching a combined total of 72 years. See, this is what happens when you get pulled in for one last big score. It never works. Number 3. King Crab. David Sabile is accused of conning seafood distributors out of hundreds of thousands of dollars. Allegedly, Sabile pretended to work at a grocery store and created fake email accounts to make it seem like they belonged to multiple Safeway grocery store employees. He used the accounts to deceive Arctic Foods, a San Francisco seafood distributor, out of $700,000. Sabile used a false name and fake trucking company to plan 2 pickups and had rental documents that tied him to the trucks. After collecting the second shipment of crab, the owner of Arctic Arctic Foods reached out to Sabile to discuss being overcharged. When the owner couldn't reach Sabile, they contacted Safeway, who revealed Sabile was not employed by them. The distributor owner informed authorities of Sabile's actions, who began to watch him. Sabile planned another shipment, but employees loaded cheaper seafood rather than king or snow crab into the truck. Police pulled over the truck driver and arrested him on counts of forgery and possession of a fraudulent bill. They found crab from Arctic Foods that matched one of Sabile's alleged shipments being sold below market value in Florida. When Sabile coordinated a fourth shipment from Arctic Foods, authorities placed position tracking devices on the packaging. The shellfish ended up at a junk removal service in Florida, with Sabile likely unloading the product when he realized it wasn't king crab. Sabile booked a one-way ticket to Colombia, but Miami police arrested him before he could board the plane. Sabile faces charges of bank fraud, grand theft, and counts of forgery and possession of a fraudulent bill. But this wasn't the first time Sabile committed criminal activity in the seafood industry. Sabile posed as a seafood buyer in Florida and Alabama, where he would contact suppliers and claim he was buying large quantities of shrimp, fish, and lobster for a cruise line. Sabile arranged to receive the seafood at cold storage facilities in Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, and Volusia counties, where he paid for the shipments with counterfeit checks. He also didn't pay a line of credit extended to him on at least one occasion. Law enforcement caught Sabile attempting to buy $60,000 of shrimp from a seafood wholesaler. He was allegedly responsible for $200,000 in losses to seafood businesses in Florida and Alabama, and for this scheme, charged with bank fraud and grand theft. Number 2. Romanian Skimming. The Riviera Maya gang specialized in skimming ATMs and stealing from tourists in Playa del Carmen and other nearby tourist areas in Mexico. The gang used skimming devices to obtain their victims' credit card information and copied their details onto blank cards to withdraw cash from ATMs worldwide. They likely began operating in 2012 and have targeted thousands of tourists. Florian Tudor is the leader of the Riviera Maya gang, which has around 1,000 members. He's a businessman from Craiova, Romania, known as El Tiburon, or the Shark, among other gang members. Romanian authorities believe Tudor ordered fellow gang members to threaten, blackmail, beat up, and even bump off the gang's enemies, including former members who fell out with him. ATM skimming involves stealing credit card information by placing a skimming device on the machine that reads the card's magnetic stripe when inserted. Criminals use the information to create cloned credit and debit cards, which they then use to withdraw money and make purchases. The Riviera Mayan gang took ATM skimming up a level, buying ATMs from well-known manufacturers, hacking their processors, and installing custom-designed software to steal bank card data. Their operation was far more sophisticated than the average criminals. They waited months before withdrawing money from compromised cards and almost always used them in ATMs far from where they were stolen or where the victims lived. The gang's skimmers and pulls operated worldwide, from India to Barbados to South Korea to Brazil and everywhere in between, making it almost impossible for victims to connect the theft to their Mexican vacation. Tudor and his stepbrother Adrian Anichescu set up Top Life Servicio company in Cancun. It gave the gang the appearance of legitimacy while covering their criminal activities. Quickly, the gang decided it would skim more effectively if it had its own ATMs. So they went out and purchased some from well-known manufacturers like Triton and Hyosung. They hacked their ATM's processors and installed custom-designed software to capture card data. Additionally, the gang had an agreement with Maltiva, a respected Mexican bank, to brand their ATMs with the bank's logo. Top Life operated over 100 Maltiva-branded ATMs across the Riviera Maya and other popular tourist locations in Mexico by 2017. Wealthy tourists use those machines daily, innocently sticking their credit or debit cards for their information to be stolen. Each machine copied roughly 1,000 cards monthly, from which the gang would withdraw $200. Combining all the machines they operated, the gang's monthly income was $20 million. Top Life invested the money in Mexican real estate, such as the construction of their headquarters, a multi-story villa with a rooftop swimming pool, and an elevator built on land in the prime area of Cancun. Under Tudor's leadership, the gang laundered the funds. Most of Tudor's aides were Romanian and would withdraw small sums from stolen cards in Mexico, then send the money to Romania in cash or through Western Union. Tudor's relatives and business partners would invest the profits in luxury real estate that they legally sold to cover up any criminal activity. Despite running a sophisticated and carefully planned operation, journalist Brian Krebs received a tip from a technician that worked for a Mexican ATM company that a gang was offering $6,000 to install Bluetooth skimming devices in ATMs. Krebs traveled to Mexico to further investigate the potential criminal activity and discovered many ATMs had a Bluetooth link called Free to Move. His trip prompted Krebs to write a 3-part story on his blog about ATM skimming, where he mentioned an Eastern European gang was behind the scam. Tudor was furious and ordered members to temporarily extract chips from 10 ATMs they owned and 25 to 30 ATMs belonging to other companies or banks. Mexican police never followed up on the revelations in Krebs' articles, but the gang temporarily shut down their operations anyway. Although the gang avoided criminal charges, Tudor was beginning to unravel. His relationship with one of his most trusted men, Constantin Sorinel Marcu, deteriorated. Tudor was envious of Marcu's relationships with women, and Marcu wanted a higher cut than he was getting from the business. After a heated exchange over WhatsApp in May 2015, Tudor instructed all gang members to cut ties with Marcu. In April 2018, 3 gang members attacked Marcu. 2 months later, Marcu passed away. Not only did his passing unleash a war with Marcu's family and allies, but it put the Riviera Maya gang on law enforcement's radar. In May 2021, Mexican authorities arrested Tudor following years of investigations by Mexican and Romanian authorities. His arrest was in response to an extradition request from Romania, where he could face charges of organized crime, extortion, and attempted murder. Number 1. Partners in crime. Husband and wife duo Emmanuel and Kara Williams committed bank robberies in Florida and Alabama between December 2012 and November 2013. The couple made little effort to cover their tracks, using similar methods in each robbery. Emmanuel would enter the bank wearing an afro wig or a hat and pass a note with block lettering to the bank teller, demanding money. The pair robbed 15 banks within a short time, with 7 of those robberies occurring between December 2012 and February 2013. 6 more robberies happened between August and October 2013, and at least 2 being only a few days apart. The amount they took ranged from $1,623 to $8,438 per bank, and their net total was $54,750. Onlookers and surveillance cameras caught the couple driving away in high-end sports utility vehicles. In an August 28th robbery, a nearby business's security camera captured Emmanuel getting into a black 2011 Mercedes-Benz GLK 350. Another camera filmed them using a white Mustang in an August 22nd robbery. Using flashy cars in crimes? Wonder if that'll blow back on them. The FBI linked both vehicles to Kara Williams after requesting video from the Florida Department of Transportation Turnpike Authority to track the license plate number of the Mercedes to her. FBI agents conducted physical surveillance of the couple's Tampa apartment, where they had a front row seat into the duo's operation. There was a breakthrough in the case after the couple targeted a mid-Florida credit union, after which FBI agents tracked Emmanuel's cell phone activity to link his location to cell towers during the dates and times of the couple's crimes. They also used his social media photos to identify a scar on Emmanuel's left thumb, which he covered with a cloth on his hand to hide from the cameras in bank surveillance videos. 10 days after their first bank robbery, Kara gave birth around December 15th, 2012. At the time, Kara was on maternity leave from her job at JP Morgan Chase Bank. Kara also took sick days corresponding to bank robberies in Tampa and Auburndale. The FBI's investigation into the couple uncovered the couple's criminal activities, resulting in the pair's arrest. Kara and Emmanuel were charged with conspiracy to obstruct, delay, or affect commerce by robbery, each carrying a potential maximum 20-year prison sentence. Jeez, Kara, if you hated your job so much, you could have just quit.
Click to watch one of these next videos. Let us know in the comments section what you'd rather have to do. Go on a 3-day fast or run a marathon.